Present wrapping can be great fun, and today I'd like to show you some amusing ways to present your Christmas gifts. And the first is fancy dress style wrapping. We've got two candidates here, and here's our big bosomed lady ready for her night out in her lovely red dress with gold neckline. She's got some jewellery on, and there's her neckline again, and her beauty spot. But what about this dapper chappie in his evening coat? He's rather fine. Now I know it looks complicated, but actually it's quite straightforward, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. First of all, you start off with your present, your box shape, and it needs to be square or oblong for this to really work. And then you want to cut a piece of black card the same height as the present and the same circumference, slightly longer, and then we're going to just glue that down with a little bit of double-sided sticky tape. So this is the best stuff for the job in my experience. You can get that from your local stationer's shop. It does stitch your fingers a bit, but let's sit that down. Okay, so that's side one, and then side two just over the top. So that's the beginning of our jacket. And now we're going to start work on the top. Whoops, it's just come off. We're going to start work on the top and bottom of the jacket. So take a pair of scissors, snip off there, and snip off there, and at the top I'm just folding back a piece of card to give you his lapels. So there's the beginning of his jacket, and now we're going to put on some of those very fine buttons you can see down the front. Now for this we need a little dab of glue, so just put a spot on. There we are. And a few sequins, and excuse me for using my finger and tongue to lick that, but that's the best way to pick them up. That's number 2 and number 3. So there are his very fine buttons, but I think his shirt needs some buttons as well. So another little dab of glue, give him another 2 or 3, there we are, and some nice black sequins this time for these buttons here. You can use any colours you like, you can make it as multicoloured as you like, but I'm going for the full dress shirt effect tonight. But what about that rather smart bow tie sitting at the top of the shirt here? Well, that's just a piece of red corrugated cardboard that I bought from a local craft shop. You want to cut yourself a little strip, fold it in half, and take a sharp pair of scissors and cut off both corners on the diagonal. Just get that off his shirt, open it out, and there's your bow tie. So I'm just going to put that on with a bit of double-sided sticky tape, just to make sure that sits in position. Put it on the top of his shirt. There we go. And I think he deserves a few little gold spots on his bow tie. So another little bit of glue, just dab that around. Don't worry if the glue oozes a bit, it will dry clear. And excuse my fingers again, there are a few little gold. Wire and some little beads, and I just put the beads onto the wire and then wound it round in a sort of squiggly shape just to look like a rose. It doesn't have to be perfect, so don't worry about that. And you can see the finished result here, and if I turn it over you can also see that I formed a tiny little stem, because what I'm going to do next is just take that and sit that stem on the middle piece of black paper there, see, on the middle piece of sticky tape, and glue that in position. And there is his pocket with his rose, our finished chap, ready to go out for the evening. But what about that rather glorious lady in her red dress with her big bosom and her beauty spot? Well, she looks complicated, but she isn't. She's equally simple, and this is how you do it. I've got my box here, and I've cut a piece of metallic crepe paper. I've chosen red, and I've just glued that round the bottom half of the box. And then we want to make her rather magnificent bust. So I've got a piece of pink card, and I've drawn 2 semicircles, and you can see those there. And I'm just going to snip those away to get that lovely shape. And on the other side. You can obviously make this as exaggerated as you like, because it is just a bit of fun. Okay, so put those down. There's her bust, and I'm going to just stick that down with some double-sided sticky tape again. It does stick itself to everything, but I think this will do the trick. And there we are. So her bust is going into place. And next we want to make her skirt. Well, once again, I've used this metallic crepe paper, and it has a nice bendy quality to it that's perfect for the next bit, because what you want to do is cut yourself a big wide strip and then do a very loose tacking stitch all across the top, because then you're going to pull this into a nice ruffle. I'll just turn that over. You can see what that looks like. You can see where the skirt shape is coming from, and then just secure that around the bottom with some more double-sided sticky tape. Now, I'm not going to do it perfectly here, but you can do that at home and neaten off the edges. So just do 2 or 3 bits, and then just sit the skirt in place, and then I just go under like that. So there's her skirt, so you can see that beginning to take shape. And now I think it's time to look at her neckline. We've got here some wired ribbon. Again, you get this from any stationer's shop. I've just cut a strip, fashioned it into a sort of semicircle, and once again, a couple of pieces of sticky tape should do the job. And we're going to give her this neckline. There it is. And once again, you just neaten the edges at the top. And of course, her choker. So another little piece of tape for that. There goes the choker. And the necklace, and this is just something I got from my bead box. There it is. Anything will do. Just put that down, secure that at the back. In fact, I'm just going to trim that off because that's a bit long. So there we go. And of course, the beauty spot. Here it is, a sequin. I'm just going to sit mine in place, but you could glue yours down. And there she is, ready for the off in her fantastic dress. Now, finally, on the subject of unusually wrapped presents, what about this? Super quick. I got some corrugated card in red and just used it to wrap round a small present, cut myself out of flame and finished off with a little bit of glitter. It's an instant candle, and then just finish off with a bit of brightly coloured ribbon. So there you go, 3 very different ideas for amusing ways to present your Christmas presents. Like so many of our Christmas traditions, the giving of presents dates back to the wintertime pagan practice of exchanging flowers, candles and dolls. The Christian Church, although against pagan practices, could see people liked the idea of present giving, so it cleverly adopted the custom in remembrance of the gifts brought to the baby Jesus by the 3 kings and shepherds. When it comes to Christmas tree decorations, we've all seen the baubles and the tinsel and all that sort of stuff. And I've already been making some tree decorations in this series. But today I've got 2 more highly original ideas that I'd like to show you. And the first are these charming paper clay ornaments. And the second, this splendid bronze medallion. And how did we make them? Well, if you'd like to make the paper clay ornaments, this is what you need to do. You need to buy a block of craft dough, which you can get from any craft shop, and it's about £3.50 for a good slab. and you treat it just like pastry. You roll it out on a board to about 1/4 of an inch thick. Then you want to take some cookie stamps. Now the important thing about your cookie stamps is that they should have an indented pattern, not a raised pattern, because what you want to do next is put it down on the dough and apply a good bit of pressure. You can hear the pressure I'm having to apply in my voice. Lift that off and you can see the pattern coming out really beautifully. Now I'm going to do 4 for you. Here's another one. Little basket of fruit. And press that down. There's number 2. And then we're going to go for a love heart. And lastly, some leaves. Now you want to press these patterns in before you cut around them. The reason being that we want to choose a variety of edges for our ornaments. There's number 4. Now I'm taking an ordinary cookie cutter to make my cutting around the edge. Now this has got a plain sharp edge, so just make sure it's the same size as the pattern or a bit bigger. That's number 1. Alternatively, you could go for a serrated edge just to give a little curly finish. There's number 2. And here I've just adapted one of my other cookie cutters to give an oval shape for number 3, but you could use a square or a rectangle, it really doesn't matter. There we are. Now what you want to do is just leave those to dry overnight. You don't have to put them in the oven, so it's dead simple stuff to play with. But don't forget to take a cocktail stick and make a little indentation in the top so that you can thread through some ribbon when the whole thing is finished. Then just leave that to dry overnight and it will set rock hard and you'll be ready for the decoration. And I've got 4 here that we can play with now. Now the nice thing about these paper clay ornaments is that you can decorate them in so many different ways. Now the first one I'm going to decorate with some gilding cream, and you can get this from builders merchants or craft shops, and put a nice bit on the finger. It's a wee bit messy but it's great fun, and rub it over the top. And I'm going to just cover the whole thing here for you to see. I want you to see the finished item. Look how pretty that is and how the gold is picked up on the raised pattern of the ornament. I really like that, and you could use silver as well, or indeed a coppery colour. Alternatively, how about painting? And you could paint them with ordinary acrylic paints. So this one here, seeing as it's leaves, I think I'll decorate with some greens. So a bit of green paint and start to go over. And I'm just going to take my time on this because I want to show you how pretty it can be. And you really could be as intricate as you like. You could use different colours on these leaves for a lovely sort of autumn effect. And a little bit more here. And you could pick out the background in gold if you wanted to. You need quite a fine brush for this, and a bit of patience, but not too much skill, which is the good bit. And there we are. That's that one looking quite pretty. There we are. Now, next to it, we've got a basket of fruit. So a little bit more green for one of the green apples, I think. Do a green one here. And I'm just going to clean my brush and put a red apple next to it. But you can see how much detail you could apply to this, because there is so much detail picked out in the modelling clay. There's a red one. And I think we'll go for a yellow one as well. And of course you can get these paints in any colour, so you can have a brown basket, etc, etc, etc. And just to finish off, I've got a little house here, so I think I'll give that one a red roof. There we are. Little red roof. And I think we'll give it some green bushes at the edge. A nice one for kids to play about with this. And they can have some fun with the paints. Very easy to clean your brush after this. You can just clean it in water, so you don't have to fiddle about with anything else. There we are. You could really do this in great detail and make them little family heirlooms, because once they've set, you've got them for life. But for something completely different, what about this rather splendid bronze medallion with a chocolate coin on the other side, most important. Now to make this you need some sheets of copper foil, and you can get these from craft shops or you can buy them by mail order, and it's about £5 a metre, so you get a lot of coins for your money. And then you want a decorative commemorative coin. Now this one I've got was minted when Edward and Alexandra visited Cardiff on the 13th of July 1907. So it's a very special coin this, but any decorative coin would do. And what you want to do is put your coin down, put your little bit of foil over the top, and then holding it down firmly, take something with a blunt end. Now I'm using a little knitting needle and rub over your coin. And if this reminds you of days you spent in church's brass rubbing, that's exactly what it is in effect. It's brass rubbing for grown-ups. You can just see the pattern coming through here. Can't quite get my fingers to the edge, but there we go, you can see how it works. And by the way, if children are doing this, just be a little bit careful with the edges of this metal, because when you cut it, it can be a wee bit sharp. And when you've gone right over that coin and got the pattern through, you want to just create a decorative edge. So what I'm going to do is take a pair of pinking shears, because it gives a nice serrated edge, and you can see how easy this stuff is to cut. It's very, very soft. So here we go, right round the edge. And then you want to take your chocolate coin, the important bit, and put a little bit of sticky tape all around it. The reason for this is that you then want to apply a little sticky tab to it, and if you apply a sticky tab straight to the foil, you'll find that it can rip through the foil, and then you might not want to eat the chocolate coin, which would be a disaster, wouldn't it? And turn your medallion over, stick your coin on the back, and then finish off with a little bit of thread so that you can hang it up. And here's the other one that I did earlier, and you can see what it's like when it's completely finished. It's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? And the way it catches the light would look really charming on the tree. So they're two very unusual ideas, and I hope you'll have a go at them, because I think they're absolutely smashing. Do remember that the edges of the metal medallions are sharp and should be kept out of reach of small children.